and the girls were on TikTok, and all of a sudden I hear that song.
Hey, I'm that bastard Obi, and I'm here with my douche chill co-host Ed. We are drinking from the Gardenhose, your favorite podcast about nothing. Guess wherever you get your podcast. Please give us 5 stars and leave a review because it really helps the podcast. Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great today, Obi. It was like 80 degrees outside. Who could not be excited about that?
Listen to how radio cool we started off this podcast, and it's only downhill from there. I'll tell you.
Sometimes it's downhill right from the start because you start dropping F-bombs to start this thing off. So today you were like, I noticed you like had a script you were reading from. You were really enunciating your words. Like you really tried today. That's good. I'm glad to see that.
I gave it the whole 9-yard effort there. I was all in, ready to go, rocking and rolling, 110%. Bam.
That's what I like.
Yes. So Ed, I know we have a lot that you have on your agenda that you want to talk about, including a video that you set up for me to understand the story. I don't know how well it's going to go without the full setup for our listeners. You had a trip. I had something that was very exciting that happened to me a few weeks back, which I'd like to share with the audience. I posted on Facebook. Nobody gave a shit.
And no one's going to give a shit on this podcast either.
Right. Exactly. I'll see if anyone can care here. They didn't care there. We'll see if we get to it. But yeah.
No, we should get to it. No. I want to get to that first. Because anytime you set something up by saying you posted on Facebook and nobody gave a shit, I want to talk about it. Please. I'm sure I didn't give a crap about it. So please tell me what it is so I cannot give a crap about it on our podcast.
You did not give a crap about it, nor would you. So Ed, this is a bit of a story, and I'm not the consummate storyteller that you are, but many years ago, around the time when you knew me, I started saying something, a little saying I had, and then I said so much, I turned to my friends and I said, someday, I'm going to keep saying this because someday I want my kids to say, like my old man always says, and that saying is, nothing causes traffic like a cop. Because believe it or not, that's my opinion. Nothing causes traffic like a cop. And so that's become the saying I've always wanted my kids to say. And then the other day, I'm asking my son, about work, and I go, like I say, and he looks at me and he goes, Dad, this has nothing to do with traffic and cops. I was like, ooh. He goes, but I did tell my friends just the other day, we were driving past the mall, all sorts of crazy traffic. We get to the end of traffic, and what's sitting there? A cop. And I looked at my friends, and I said, you know what my dad always says? Nothing causes traffic like a cop. So I was ecstatic. I was over the moon. I set a goal. I achieved that goal. 18 plus years in the making. Bam. That was my story.
So, Obi, I have an observation for you and a question. So let's start with the question, and then I'll get into the observation, okay? So the question is, you set this goal. This was a saying that you said a lot. You've obviously said it a lot in front of your kids for them to actually pick up on it and go, as my old man always says, nothing causes traffic like a cop. How many times do you think you've said that saying in your life in front of your kids? Hundreds?
Let's see. 100 sounds an awful lot. Let's say, 20 years. Let's say we hit traffic once a month. That's worthy of it. So, maybe 200 times maybe. Yeah.
So you only say that though when you hit traffic. You don't just like say that shit when you're walking around the house. Nothing causes traffic like a cop.
No. I only say it when it's appropriate.
Okay, but you say it every time you hit traffic, I guess.
Every time I hit traffic, and lo and behold, there's just a cop sitting there, like trying to direct traffic and doing a poor job of it. It's probably not really their fault, but I'm in the car and there's a cop and there's traffic.
Okay. So we just lost the whole law enforcement community of our podcast fandom, but that's great. Okay, so you clarified that.
Well, they can defend themselves in the comments. They may not, right?
They know they cause traffic because they don't even give a shit when they're out there doing the traffic duty. They do it half-assed, They really don't care. I think they get excited that they ruin people's days. I think that's what they're looking for. I really do. This is my opinion. But
Any cops that were still listening now are officially out. Okay.
I mean, listen, at the school pickup, there's a cop there doing the light to let the school buses go. And let me tell you, they have no concern. They don't care that there's a line of cars backed up down the street. Like, it would make sense for them to change the light because the buses aren't going yet. But they don't care because you know what? They're sitting in their car, doing something. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm all with you. And yes, we lost all our law enforcement 10. So that's not my observation, by the way, but you got me on a kick. So I got a statement, and then we'll go to observation. So my kids will tell you, I think the saying that they will probably, well, they hate this saying. So I'm not sure they'll actually say it when they get older, but they hate it. So anytime, like, we're like, I don't want to say every time I'm eating, but anytime, like, maybe it's one of those days where you haven't eaten for a while and, the talk of the house is, oh, I'm starving, can't wait for dinner or something like that. And I finally get my food and I take that first bite or second bite, I always go, oh, that hits the spot. And my kids freaking hate it. They hate it.
Why do they hate that? That's not like some sort of crazy. That's like, and everybody says that.
I agree. And the only reason why I'm picking up on it now is because my kids hate that I say it. So now I say, as you know, I say it even more.
Of course. Of course.
I say it all the time now. I may even say when it's not appropriate. I may just say it hits the spot because I know they're listening. But so I think as dads, I think we all have those sayings. So it would be great to hear people's comments on our website. Like, what was their old man famous for saying? I would love to hear that. But so here's my observation, Obi. You said at the beginning of this that no one gave a crap on Facebook. And now I recall the post. And I know why nobody gave a crap. Because it was so cryptic. You didn't even put in the saying. Like, you just said, I lived my whole life for my kids to say it, and they did it. And then you said, if you know, you know. Like, no one knew, dude. That's why no one gave a crap. No one knew. You did like an inside joke post to Facebook where the only people who got the joke were your kids who aren't on Facebook.
I would say there is a select group of people, at least of one of whom is a listener, he is not on Facebook, who would have known.
But he's not on Facebook. You just said he's not on Facebook.
Wait. The listener isn't on Facebook.
Okay.
But there are a group of people on Facebook. I didn't expect it to explode. I expected 5 to 10 people to go, yeah, right. But no.
Bro, your audience was for 3 people. And the way with the Facebook algorithm works, they probably didn't even see it.
You're probably right. Which is why I had to bring it here.
I got to give you props. You actually told the story really well on this podcast. You did. Like, it was very easy to follow. It made sense. It kind of went down like the drinking from the Gardenhose theme, like old man saying. Like, this was really good, Obi. I'm so proud of you. But you screwed up that Facebook post so bad. I mean, now that I know, oh my God, that Facebook post might be the worst Facebook post in the history of Facebook. Really, I'm telling you, so cryptic. Even your mom tried to respond to that one because your mom loves you, and she didn't know what the hell you were talking about. And then your response to your mom was so cryptic, it sucked also. Like, the whole thing sucked.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to cut the podcast off now because I'm supposed to with all the sucking in that statement.
Yeah, I know. And I wasn't even trying to cut it off. I'm just trying to point something out. Like, you start off like you were like defeated that no one gave a crap on Facebook. I'm telling you why no one gave a crap on Facebook.
Now I'm more defeated. Let's get to your trip before I start to cry here.
Edit the post and maybe you'll get some likes.
Maybe I'll take the podcast and that will be the picture I'll use for our podcast picture.
Of your sad Facebook post with like no likes?
Yeah.
Like, it'll say it's like 3 weeks old, no likes.
Yeah. Hated it.
You know what young girls do? You know what young girls do when they don't get not even no likes. When they don't get enough likes within the first 10 minutes, they delete the damn post.
Oh, they delete. Well, I should do that. I should go back and delete it.
You should.
Make myself feel better.
Yeah.
Never happened. Never
Exactly.
happened.
Exactly.
It's the
All right,
exact
enough about
opposite of
you.
my
How about
LinkedIn post.
enough about you? How about we talk about me?
Of course. Let's please talk about you. I would just like to say, as we talk about you, Ed, that is a shirt you're wearing. I know it's a branded shirt. I wish
Work,
we
man.
we
Work.
for the audience, we are getting ever closer to doing this as video. I got a new computer. I'm downloading software in the background as we speak. Ed, this shirt needs to get on video. That's all I gotta say. It's beautiful.
No,
shirt.
this is a work shirt. This will never be on the podcast. But I have other shirts. So, for example, I was coming home. I had a trip. I was out in Vegas, and I have a floral shirt. I have a lot of floral shirts, by the way. You know, a classic tourist shirt, right? Like we've all seen them. Just think flowers, think colorful, and think flowers. So I wore it on my last day out in Vegas. And as I was getting on the plane to come back home, flying back to Newark, the stewardess says to me, "Wow, you look like you're going to Hawaii." And I said to her, "Well, I was just in a place with palm trees. Doesn't that count?" So anyway, I thought that was interesting. And then when I got home, my youngest daughter, Alex, first two things out of her mouth. By the way, I got home at 1:30 in the morning and both my kids were awake. I understand one's in college, but the 15-year-old was still awake. And I don't think it's they were waiting up for me. I think they just are bats or something. They stay up on. Oh no, bats sleep at night, right? No, bats are up at night. Anyway, first thing she says to me is she pats my stomach and goes, "Oh, looks like you gained a few pounds, Dad." That's the first thing she said to me. And then the second thing she said to me goes, "What the hell is that shirt? You look like a tourist." I go, "What the hell do you think I was? I was a tourist."
Okay, speaking of staying on point, the older I get, the less I care that I look like a tourist. Like, right? Like now I got my yeah, I'm a tourist. I am here being a tourist. Come.
Isn't that the point? Isn't it
Yeah.
a point to look like a tourist? I mean, shit, you're a tourist. Like,
Right.
wear the clothes you're not going to wear around town.
That's
Wear
it.
them on vacation. It's
Absolutely.
Vegas. What happens in
Yeah.
Vegas stays in Vegas.
Except for that shirt. That shirt does come home.
But not everything that happens in Vegas stays in Vegas because I'm here to talk about it.
All right, let's spill the Vegas beans.
All right, so some of these stories are not. I mean, listen, I can't tell everything that happened in Vegas because yes, some things do happen in Vegas, and I probably don't have permission to share stories. But just a couple of observations when I was out there. First of all, let me just tell you, we left from Newark and we were flying out to Vegas a week ago. And flight was supposed to leave at 9 in the morning, and it's like 8:45, and we haven't started boarding yet. And all of a sudden, it wasn't even the steward. The gate agent comes on, and the statement starts. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Flight blah 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 to Las Vegas. I just want to let you know that there's going to be a slight delay. It seems as though our pilot has, during his initial inspection of the plane, he has refused to fly this plane for safety reasons. And then she took a breath. And it was a short breath. But as she was taking the breath, I think everybody waiting at that gate was waiting for the next line, which in our minds, we already filled it in. And we thought the next line was going to be, so we have to wait for another pilot who's dumb enough to fly this shitty ass plane, right? Like, I'm like, holy shit, I'm not getting on this plane. Like, the pilot refused the plane. I'm not getting on. But luckily, thank God, the next line was, so we found another plane for you, 4 gates down. You got to go to gate 76 now. We're like, oh. But meanwhile, Obi, as we're walking down to the other 4 gates, we hear that gate going, attention flight, blah, 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 passengers to San Francisco. Your flight has been moved to the gate 4 gates down. They were putting the suckers from San Francisco that didn't hear the original announcement on my plane that was unsafe for my pilot.
Well, maybe, like you said, a different pilot would be willing to
maybe
fly.
San Francisco was flying later and they had time to fix it. It had something to do with the auxiliary power. So anyway, that's how my trip started, with this like split-second fear that they were going to ask me to get on a plane after they just told me the pilot said it was unsafe.
But that pilot is anal retentive. We can fly this plane. We're going to get you a less risk-adverse pilot. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that guy's always causing problems. He's on a pip. So that's how it started. So then, if you didn't know, WrestleMania was this past weekend in Las Vegas.
I did not know. Is that why you went?
No, that's not why I went. I went in spite of that. I found this out after my trip was booked, and I quite frankly didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. And I still don't want to say it was that big of a deal, but it was made for some interesting people watching. Now, when I was younger, I watched professional wrestling. I think every young male does. I'm not into it anymore. And listen, I know plenty of people who are into it, and it's fine. But what I
We have
didn't
a
know,
couple of mutuals who I think must still be doing it at their age.
yeah, and we probably have some listeners that like professional wrestling. And this is not where I'm going with this. I have no problems if you like professional wrestling. And this may sound like I'm making fun of people. In a way, I am, but in a way, it's just an observation that it's just interesting how people act. So here's the point. So I'm out there, and as the weekend comes, you notice more and more wrestling fans showing up. And a couple of things I thought were interesting. And this is why this is just an observation, because if the Super Bowl was happening, or if let's say there was a Raiders game against the Giants, you would expect a lot of New York Giant jerseys to be worn around Vegas right before the game, or Raiders jerseys, right? Or if there was a big basketball game. So you would expect that. And I, as a sports fan, would think that's perfectly normal. So I'm prefacing this that's
My
my
God, you are covering your ass, Ed. What, are you about to make a political statement here?
What?
Come on, get to the
Oh, I'm
point.
just maybe a little more woke than I was, I don't know, a week ago. So anyway, the amount of people, Obi, that I saw walking around in public, and I know I was wearing a flowery shirt, so I get it. But in public, wearing like a championship wrestling belt that they just bought at the Fan Fest, like, not that they bought it to put it in, they were wearing this shit around, like walking around with it on them, buckled. Lots of people, Obi.
Okay.
Lots of people wearing the John Cena gold necklace around.
All right, all right. So a lot of wrestling cosplay.
Yes. Oh yeah. But here I'm going to tell you the one that takes the cake. So WrestleMania, I think, started 4 p.m. local time, probably, because if you figure it has to be like 7 o'clock Eastern time. So at 11:30, I went to brunch on Saturday, and that was the first day of WrestleMania. And this guy walks in, and he was a little overweight, and he was wearing an X-Pac shirt. So he clearly was a wrestling fan. But I noticed his hands were all taped up, as if he had cut his palms. And so he had the tape over his palms and around his wrist. His hands were taped, but his fingers. So maybe like but not as thick as a boxer would tape their hands, but his hands were taped. So I'm like, oh shit, man, this guy's all banged up, yet he's still going out to brunch. I got to give this guy props. I mean, if I was hurt that bad, I wouldn't be going out to brunch. He's at the table, like right next to me. Waitress comes over, very nice woman. She comes over and she goes, "Oh my God, are you okay? What happened?" And he goes, "What?" Oh, and then he looks at his hands. He goes, "Oh no, I'm just dressed like my favorite wrestler, X-Pac. He always taped his hands, so I got my hands taped." Obi, 11:30 at brunch. The match wasn't for 4.5 hours. By the way, X-Pac wasn't even wrestling. I don't believe he's like the guy wrestled in the 90s.
Yeah, listen, Ed. I got dressed up to go to Comic-Con. I'm not going to question a cosplayer of any cause they're playing at all. Of course, I knew where it was going. I knew exactly what you were saying. And I don't even know who X-Pac is. Like, it wouldn't even have fazed me, Ed. And you're right, because like if it had been a football game, it wouldn't have fazed you. But getting a little more in apparently is difficult for you, to the point where you had to protect yourself from wrestlers for like 10 minutes, which is like it took you 2 seconds to throw cops under the bridge.
No, I just think it's like I get it. I just want, people are going to tell me, well, because listen, the whole cop thing, they do cause traffic on purpose. I'm convinced of it. But the wrestling thing, I wear sports gear myself. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. And then one other observation out there, and then just a funny story. So another observation. Obviously, there's a lot of unhoused people in Las Vegas. There's also a lot of con artists out there. Just a lot of people. Like I love the people who are out there dressed as showgirls or stripper, whatever the hell they're dressed like, and they get people they get the let's say the naive people to pose for a picture with them. And then to watch how that unfolds when the naive people are told that they now have to pay for the picture they just took. And I know this happens in Times Square, I know, but it's just really interesting to watch the look on people's faces when the gig is up. And I saw this one situation, and this isn't even where I was going with, but this was a great one. There was a guy dressed as a Buddhist monk, and I highly doubt he was a Buddhist monk. But yet he was bald and he didn't talk. His whole shtick was he didn't talk. But he had like beaded bracelets and necklaces. And he would come up to you if you were dumb enough. He would come up to you and he would put the necklace on you. He would put the beads on your wrist. So there's this couple. This guy had freaking 2 necklaces on. He had a couple bracelets on. And then I saw the monk. It was all part of his shtick. He couldn't talk, right? He hands them a piece of paper. I'm 99.9% positive that the piece of paper had the prices for the stuff that were just put on this guy's neck and wrist. Because at that moment, the guy's wife, girlfriend, whatever she was, grew visibly upset and disgusted and immediately started grabbing the necklaces off the guy and ripping them off. What are people thinking? Like, do you think that this guy, out of the kindness of his heart, is giving you stuff? Like, aren't people warned before they go to Vegas?
I mean, you're right, though. This is like an anywhere sort of thing. Like, people are going to come up to you with, like you said, Times Square, like, hey, look at me. I'm this interesting person. And I start like, happens in New Orleans all the time. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah. New Orleans, you're told not to talk to anybody. In New Orleans, they got a whole stick. Like, they come up and go, I can bet you $100 that I know where you got your shoes. And then, do you know this one, Obi?
No.
So the scam in New Orleans is the con men come up to you and they go, I'll bet you $100 or I'll bet you $50 that I know where you got your shoes. They don't say I know where you bought your shoes. I know where you got your shoes. And then you're like, you're a fucking, excuse my language, you're an idiot. You don't know where I got my shoes. I'll take that bet. And then they go, all right, you got your shoes on Bourbon Street. And you're standing on Bourbon Street and they go, give me my $100.
Bam. Just like that.
So you're told. So I got told when I landed in New Orleans, say, if anybody asks you where you got your shoes, you say, my shoes are on Bourbon Street, and walk away. So the point is, this stuff does happen, but how do you fall for it, Obi? How do you fall for
it? You fall for it because you're young, naive, or old and forgetful. Like
it's poor parenting. Do you think it's poor parenting?
No. I think it's parenting that's too good because poor parents. If you were poor parented, you would know to be looking out for these things because you would have run into it already.
I'm not talking poor parenting as in no money as a parent. I'm talking as the parent is just not a good parent.
No, I am talking the same thing. A good parent in today's day and age is so overprotective they haven't opened up their kid to find out what happened.
Got it. So if you're out on the streets at like 14, you know all. Actually, you're the guy putting beads and necklaces on people's necks, right?
Right. You've made that bet for $3 with your buddy. Hey, Mike, I bet you I know where you got your sneakers. How much you want to bet? How about $5, Mike? Yeah, they got them on Pacific Avenue.
So I'm amazed by the people who fall for that. I'm amazed by people who push a baby carriage around the strip. Not because, I'm not one of these people who's like, I can't believe you brought a kid to Vegas. Listen, I get it. You might be there for a lot of different reasons. You might not have the ability that I had where, my parents watch my kids. They may not have that. So I get it. You got to get your gambling fix on. You got to, whatever, do what you got to do. But what I don't get is the strip is a seedy place, man. You got these showgirls. I mean, there was a girl running around with just pasties on and no one should see that. And I'm not saying that no one should see a girl with pasties on. I'm saying no one should have seen this girl with pasties on. If you're saying, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, people are pushing baby carriages down the street that this same woman's running around on.
I brought my kids to Vegas.
Right, I get why you did, but did you push a baby carriage around?
No, they were old enough to walk and talk and go to the M&M shop.
Yeah, okay. So it's the baby carriage. I just don't get pushing a stroller. And then now I'm on a roll because now all these things are flooding back to myself. So I saw something I never saw before in my life, Obi.
You were in Vegas.
Yeah, it was Vegas, and I've been to Vegas a lot of times, but I never saw what I saw. I walked into the men's restroom. Thank God it was in my hotel, which is a classy hotel. But I walked into the men's restroom, and there was somebody kneeling on the men's restroom floor, changing their baby. Their baby was on the men's restroom floor, getting a diaper change because there was no diaper changing station in there, and they did it on the floor. Now, I think that kid is never going to get sick for as long as they live, because they are fully immune now. Yeah. I won't go barefoot into a men's restroom. Exactly. See, you're speechless.
I
All
am
right.
speechless. I hope you heard me whistling because
I did. You're
I
speechless. So, all right. Last observation. And then I got a good story for you. So, I was going back to the unhoused person. So I don't know, maybe 2 decades ago, or maybe it was 15 years ago. I'm not really sure. Some of the unhoused people started to get cute. They have a sign like, "Oh, why lie? I need a beer. Give me money." Right? You've heard that stick, right? So instead of asking for money for food, they just say, "Give me a beer," because I'm not going to lie to you. Kind of cute. Well, there was a guy out there. He, I just don't know what decade the guy was living in because he was asking for 60 cents. Wait, before I'm done saying, because I know you're going to be able to understand where I'm going with it. He was asking for 60 cents so he could get something at McDonald's. Do, do you see any problem with a guy standing on the side of the road asking for, or do you see the problems asking for 60 cents to go to McDonald's? Do you see the problems with that?
They even have a dollar menu anymore at McDonald's?
So that's the first problem. What the hell are you getting at McDonald's for 60 cents? Number one, there's another problem. Do you see the other problem?
Does McDonald's take cash anymore?
They do take cash, but that's not the problem.
I got nothing else.
Who the hell's carrying 60 cents around with them, Obi?
Oh, I was going the other right. I was like McDonald's is cashless. You're like people are cash. You need to be out there. That is something, by the way. I am waiting for the homeless people to be like, got my cash app. Cash out me $1.
I saw that out there. There are people with their Venmo and their Cash App and their Zelle, even though I don't think Zelle does that anymore. I think they stopped, but on their cardboard boxes. But 60 cents. So here's the other thing. I walked by this guy on Thursday. He was asking for 60 cents so he could go to McDonald's, right? And of course, I made the comment to my wife and my friends, like, 60 cents? Who the hell has 60 cents? Like, seriously. No, I mean, I probably don't even have a dollar bill on me, but let alone 60 cents, right? So I think that's a problem. And then we did the whole McDonald's thing. Like, what the hell are you going to get for 60 cents? McDonald's. It's not 1992 anymore. But then on Friday, I walked by the same guy and he asked me for 60 cents so he could go to McDonald's. So, like, this is his thing. This is his thing.
Okay. Well, he's unhoused. So I can't truly make fun of him, but boy, I can see the problem with it.
No, I'm not making fun of him, by the way. I just think he needs like a coach to coach him on how to panhandle a little more effectively. Unless his whole shtick is the naive people engage him in a conversation and go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have 60 cents." And he immediately goes, "Well, how about $5?"
Or, so I mean, are chips that small?
No, you need a dollar. Dollar chips the smallest, and that
What about
even is hard to
roulette?
come by. What?
I'm not. What about the slots? Are people playing quarter, nickels, dime slots
Oh,
still?
bro. You haven't been in a casino a long time. There is no such thing as quarters anymore in a slot machine. They print out tickets that you then take to a machine that prints out dollar bills for you.
Okay.
There's no
right.
change. There's no nickels, dimes, pennies, quarters.
No, you're right. Last time I was there, it's like I played some video poker. Hey, you want to whatever it was I won, and you had to take it to redeem.
Yeah, they don't have that anymore. Now it's all tickets. So any event, I think maybe he ups it really quick and he gets cash out of you. I just don't know. 60 cents is this thing. So anyway, last story, and I think this is a good story. I got to share it with you. And I was with friends, as you know. I was with two buddies from college, known them for 35 years, and I was with their partners. So there were 6 of us, and we were at the pool, and we had a cabana for the day. And at the end of the day, we were just sitting around. We were playing cards, and our waitress, who's been really great, she was really nice, and she was serving us all day. She just stops by and goes, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And we talked about how we were playing. And then I think we mentioned to her how we were friends for 35 years or something like that. She goes, "Oh, I just know that this was her response. Oh, are you family?" To which point my friend Stump turns to her and goes, "No, we're swingers." And I almost peed my pants because she thought he was serious. We just like, what the hell are you saying to her? And I mean, she seemed like a very innocent young woman. I mean, she does work in Vegas, so I don't know how true that is. But we're swingers, he says. I almost fell on my chair.
That's good. That was quick. Good good on Stump.
Yeah.
To be offering up his partner like that.
No, I think he was offering up all of us. No, I think his point was all 6 of us were swingers.
I understand. I meant, it just meant that he was willing to,
hot
swap.
wife. He was going to be a hot wife.
Stump was going to be a hot wife, or Stump's partner would be a hot wife.
One or the other. I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter. I just had to share that story because that was maybe the funniest thing that I can share with the group.
So now I have a question. I mean, you speaking of Facebook earlier in the podcast, you posted a picture on Facebook of all 6 of you, and you were all out. Looked like maybe day 1 or 2 out for drinks, and I saw the picture and I noticed something about the picture. I'm going to ask you, Ed.
Okay.
At what point when you get dressed, do you put on your socks? Is it before or after your pants?
It's before.
So you chose a pair of green socks and then chose an outfit that didn't go with the green socks at all.
Oh yeah, my socks never match. That's all on purpose.
Socks never match. Okay. All right.
That's all on purpose. I do that on purpose.
You just random socks.
Well, they're not random. I know I'm putting them on, and they match. By the way, I don't do mismatched socks.
No, they were both green. They were both green.
Yeah.
You're not mismatching your socks, but you don't. Your socks and your outfit are incongruent on purpose.
Absolutely. So I know that there's a rule of thumb that your socks are supposed to match your shoes are supposed to match your belt, right? I don't play that. I don't play that game.
I don't necessarily match my shoes in those orders, but if you saw my socks, they would jive with the rest of my outfit in some way or another. But yours, no. I just wanted to make sure I asked before we got to the rest of your stories, because that was one of my notes. I caught it. Your socks, just random green socks all the way up, and yeah.
Yeah, they're not usually and by the way, those were plain socks because they were just solid green. Usually there's patterns that are different colors that have nothing to do with what I'm wearing.
Well, see, the thing about pattern socks, you might catch one color and it'll work out.
I don't give a crap.
I know, obviously.
Don't, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to match my socks with my hair. That's all.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure gray goes with everything.
I don't think the term you meant there was match. I think you meant coordinate.
Yeah, whatever. I can't dress myself anyway. That's why I don't care, Obi. I don't care.
Well, if you don't know just matching and coordinating, hell no, you don't care.
Exactly. I didn't even know there was a difference between the two. I thought it meant the same thing. I thought it was interchangeable.
Well, you probably don't know what that word means either.
Interchangeable? Oh, that one I know.
All right.
That's an either. That's an either or question.
Okay. Either or.
Exactly.
Either or, interchangeable or the same.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Sorry to disrail us with this conversation about language, something that obviously Ed or I are not particularly well versed in. But can you get us back onto what else you'd like to share us from Vegas?
Well, it's not from Vegas. There's just one last. Do you have any? You saw Facebook. Obviously, you had one thing you want to talk about was my socks. Is there anything else you want to talk about that you saw?
Well, so then you put the pictures with the jackets, and I made a comment. Now I don't remember if we talked jackets on air or off air. By the way, I would note I am starting to listen to our podcast now. I haven't listened in the past, but now I'm listening because I'm listening to a lot more podcasts because I drive to work, and it's a long enough drive to listen to some podcasts.
Yeah.
So I might start to bring back things from previous podcasts on purpose.
Yep.
Just a heads up to folks.
Yeah. So I should talk about this, the jackets, right? So we'll get to your jacket thing. Well, so first you're going to say that 3 of us were wearing jackets, and I said only 2 were tailored for the hustle. So do you know what I was saying, what I meant when I said that?
Well, it looked like only 2 honestly fit the people who were wearing them.
Oh, shit. I hope you're not talking about me.
I am not talking about you. Yours did not look like it did not fit you.
Good, because my whole point was, and we talked, and maybe it was off air, about buying a new jacket to go to Vegas, one that was wrinkle free, you could machine wash it, so it was great for travel. So I was told by one of my travel mates, hey, we're all getting this new jacket. It's great for travel. It's tailored for the hustle. That's just the brand.
Oh, okay.
That's the brand catchphrase. It's actually on the label, tailored for the hustle.
By the way,
yeah.
So you know what? I have a theory on now who wasn't tailored for the hustle, and it only makes this story better. So please go on.
So yeah, because you want to guess, and I'll just tell the story. You guess now, and I'll tell you if you're right after I tell the story.
Yeah, the same guy who's a swinger.
Yeah, right. So Taylor, yes, Stump was not tailored for the hustle, and this is what's great about this story. So I told you right now, you're right. But this is what's great about this story. Prior to the trip, Stump sent a text out about 2 months prior to the trip and said, "Hey guys, we all have to get this jacket by Twillery. It's tailored for the hustle. Will look great in Vegas. It's great for travel, blah, 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 blah." So I immediately go and say, "Well, what's this all about?" And I see it's a $335 jacket. I'm like, "You got to be freaking kidding me. I'm not buying a $335 jacket." But my wife saw the text as well. And she's like, "You should buy it. It'll look good. And it's a good point. You can fold it. So I end up buying the jacket. Not only did I buy the jacket, after you buy the jacket, they got a little sales technique there that I get a pop-up after I click checkout. The pop-up comes, "Oh, we'll give you $20 off the matching $95 pants," right? So you can make it a suit. So now my $335 jacket turned into $335 plus $75 for the pants because I bought the pants. All right. So I'm all suited up, right? So our other friend, Spaz, he buys the jacket, right? So he's all in. He got it first, but he beat me to it. He's got the jacket. He posted a picture. Got it. So then Stump, who tells us about it, he says, "Well, I just got mine, and I'm not sure it fits. I think I'm going to return it." Now, I've already bought mine. Spaz already bought his. And we're like, "That's fine. Return it all you want, but you better get another one that fits your ass and better bring it to Vegas." Silence. Doesn't mention anything until we get to Vegas. And we say, "We're wearing the jacket." So he goes, "Oh, yeah, I never got that jacket."
Well, listen. When you said tailored to the hustle, I did not realize. Here, I'm going to throw Stump under the table. Now, before I do that, I just want to say Stump, by the way, was so instrumental and so helpful to me when I was trying to find a job. I feel bad saying this, but when you said tailored it almost to the point where your jacket and Spaz's jacket almost looked legitimately tailored. And I was like, is he saying that they got those jackets in Vegas tailored? And Stump's jacket with the shoulders, it's like,
he should have got the jacket.
Stump should have got the jacket. Or maybe it just doesn't fit his body type. So, there's that is possible. But the jacket he was wearing looked a little ragged. Like maybe it had been stuffed in a suitcase, folded up, and not came and need to be ironed.
And it wasn't tailored for the hustle.
It was not tailored for the hustle. Right.
That's the point. So that's the funny part about that story.
So maybe what was actually going on is Stump's partner was like, "I saw you in that jacket. I'd like to do some swinging here because you're not holding up your end of the bargain." And he brought that anger out towards the waitress. I'm just saying it's possible.
He should have got the jacket. Everyone should get the jacket, by the way. I wore it 3 nights. I looked great. Other than my socks, apparently. I looked great out there.
Well, listen, if your feet stayed on the ground and weren't in the air, I wouldn't have seen the sock. You had the foot up on the knee, I think, or something. But that's what caught my eye. Then I looked at the other sock.
I got to find this picture. I got to see what picture you're talking about. But
yeah, it's the one on Facebook. It did better than my post.
It's not hard. Your post was so cryptic. My posts, at least people knew I was in Vegas. I only give you a cryptic statement about tailored for the hustle. The post itself wasn't cryptic. So,
Correct.
Obi, I know I had another story for you, but I think we've gone long, so I'm going to save it for our next episode.
Okay.
So I'm actually good.
Well, Ed, I'm glad you're good. I'm just double checking. I got nothing. I'd like to remind everybody, though, to check out our website, gardenhose.vercel.com. Join the conversation. Add in your comments. Let us know you're listening. Let us know what you like. I have to fix this stash for when we're on air and on picture, possibly in 2 weeks. So, Ed, you'll know, Ed, because you'll get a special link. And hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to do it. And hopefully it won't suck. Because the charm is that we suck. That said, I'm Obi. Catch you next time on Drinking from the Garden.